We got Shadow Articuno here in Pokemon Go. One of the first things that you should know, or just maybe that's like a fun tidbit, is just that it is a gym that's owned by Cliff. You know, Cliff has taken it over, so it's like, remember how Giovanni was the one that had Mewtwo? They're sort of going back to that Pokemon Go Fest. Remember that? I think that would have been 2020, right? Where they first, I think, did Shadow Mewtwo, of course, by Giovanni. But you fought Cliff separately, and you fought Arlo with Shadow Moltres, and then you fought Sierra with Shadow Zapdos. And so we can only presume that that's how it's going to go, essentially, in the future. And so, look at this. It's going to be pretty easy. 8 people in this lobby, and I will tell you right off the bat, you're probably seeing my counters and the CP amounts of them and stuff. They are lowly, they are poopy, these are just baby accounts that people have either let me use for these purposes, or for instance, my wife who never plays. So, forgive me, wife, for saying that they are poopy. I don't mean that. Hers is the better one. But yeah, these are just people that, luckily, willing to help me out with an experiment for this video, because I was thinking, like, how can we, I imagine the lobby would be big here for just kind of the first Articuno raids in the world, and so with that, like, I wanted to nerf myself a little bit, in essence, just to see how easy or difficult is this thing. And so once you do use your purified gems or whatever, I'm sure it makes it a lot easier. I even with the Mewtwo, I barely noticed a difference when I use those purified gems, but apparently they help you, so use them if you've got them. I mean, you get a ton of Shadow Shards from Shadow Raids, especially this raid. It's going to yield us, I think, like 6 or 7 per account, so we'll see that coming up pretty soon. But clearly, we are definitely looking like we're going to win, just because look at the health of this thing, and we're not even at the halfway point yet, so we will notice this victory very, very shortly here. Just kind of last few notes, I suppose. It's probably going to be an obvious statement, but at least in my area, there's a pretty big pool of people who want to raid and stuff, so just compared to Shadow Mewtwo, this was definitely smaller potatoes. People much less interested. You know, when Shadow Mewtwo came up, it was just like, boom, the gym filled up in mere moments for the first hatching. I'm not saying like when it would only had 10 minutes left or something, right? But I'm saying like when it first hatched, well, this was an Articuno that was pretty freshly hatched from the gym, or spawned that egg and everything. So there's the defeat, and I did make sure, by the way, while we were doing this, you might have noticed it, we weren't doing any dodges or anything, but I did do the dodge movement just so you could kind of look at what Cliff was doing on the billboard. He was essentially doing the same animation that plays when you're doing a Team Go Rocket battle and you use like a charge move against him and he kind of braces himself for impact, right? Well, he's sort of doing that. Clearly, no Shadow Shiny Articuno on these two. Gonna have to keep trying, eh? That was sort of the luck that I had with Mewtwo, where it was something, I don't know, like 20 raids, and that was, I think, where I got one. So, ladies and gentlemen, essentially, you probably have thrown against Articuno before, so I would imagine that you know how to get the excellent. Definitely do your circle technique if you're worried about this thing being a little salty, which it's gonna be, like the Mewtwo. Maybe not as bad, but man, it still does its battle cry. You saw that, of course, on the right side screen there. It was hovering above just for a long time. So this thing will be sort of a jerk off to you. So anyway, aim for the beak. So get right there at its beak. And yeah, obviously you use your golden Raz if you have them. You can probably even get away with a lesser berry, but hey, it's just going to make it go a little bit faster, my friends. And so after you aim for that beak, you don't really throw it so high, you know, like it might go over its head or something if you kind of aim too high, let's say. Now, of course, if it flies up, then forget what I'm saying right here. Definitely throw high. So I think you know what to do, right? We make our excellent throws, and like I said, one of these accounts is so baby-like, but yeah, they hadn't even caught the Articuno for the Pokedex entry, but you can see 1684 did end up being 1 star on the appraisal. 1690, that did give us a 2 star. Not too far apart on numbers, but definitely a far apart appraisal. Please click an end screen on screen if you want to see another video, and thanks for viewing.